So here we go. Well, thank you guys for coming. Who was here last year? Anybody come last year? Great. I see a lot of familiar faces here, you guys. We really do appreciate the local support. We're our ambassadors. If you're an ambassador for this event, can you please stand up really quickly? Give it up for these guys. We have a program at Inman where we reach out to some of the people locally that know the market, know the trends, know the agents, know kind of who to help us connect with, and they're a big part of our event. So thank you guys so much. And we're going to get into it. The first thing I want to ask is there anyone here that doesn't have an iPad? You guys all have iPads. Who doesn't have an iPad? All right, get out of here. I mean, it's unbelievable. It used to be everybody. Well, does anybody here have any still use their BlackBerry device? I always like to make sure there's going to be a lot of questions. Okay. We like to have a really interactive conference. So anyway, the way the world communicates just changed, have you? And if you look at this graphic, this is what happens on the internet every 60 seconds. So take a look at a couple of the stats, but the ones that I'm fascinated with, 695,000 status updates are happening every 60 seconds. Things like Craigslist, 12,000 Craigslist ads are posted every 60 seconds. We saw some data yesterday out of YouTube. 72 hours of footage is being uploaded every hour now. It's just fascinating how quick the internet's moving. How many of you feel a little bit overwhelmed because of that? Would you be honest? So our goal, and I always think about this stat, like it takes me 4 minutes to get my hair to do this, right? So every morning now when I do my hair, I'm like, there's 48,000 Craigslist ads just got posted. I tried to figure this out. So long story short, the internet's moving really quickly, so when we do a conference like Agent Reboot, we want to make sure that we're not sharing everything with you, because a lot of times there's just too much information. It is overwhelming. I know a lot of you in the room right now have a good offline business. Things are picking up in Orange County, which is great. But how's your online business? If I were to Google you, if I were to look you up online, would I hire you? It's a big deal, right? Because that's where we find people to hire, is the internet. So when we decided we wanted to cover certain topics, one of the ones that we definitely wanted to touch on, the first two sessions, one's going to be about Twitter and one's going to be about Facebook. How many of you here right now would raise your hand if I asked, do you suck at Twitter? Okay. So that's a good class to do. The class is literally called I Suck at Twitter, Please Help Me. That's literally the name of the class. Katie Lance does a great job with that. But we want to go a little deeper. It's not just that you should use Twitter or take a look at using Twitter. Why should you use Twitter? And this is some data from a company called Kissmetrics. 64% of people who follow a brand, I consider you guys to be your own brand or working for a brand, 64% of people said I'm more likely to buy from a brand that I follow on Twitter. It's a pretty big stat. With Facebook, 51% of the users said they're more likely to buy from the brands that they follow. So those are pretty powerful data points, and when we looked at that, we said, okay, well, let's have Katie do a class on Twitter, and let's bring Jimmy Mackin. Any Jimmy Mackin fans here today? Yeah. Dude, you have like 6 fans. Where's he at? Killing it, bro. So we decided literally to bring a Facebook expert on the whole tour with us, and he does several sessions on Facebook throughout the day that are just absolutely great. Just want to explain why we're going to talk about what we're going to talk about today. Talking about mobile and kind of all the BlackBerry and other jokes aside, when you hear about mobile and you hear that it's a big deal, in 2010, 500 million people had a phone that connected to the web. In 2015, it's projected to be 2.6 billion. In 2020, it's going to be over 4.5 billion. So when we talk a little bit about the mobile revolution, and when we decided to bring Darren Persinger on the tour to do a full session on mobile, we decided that we wanted to focus on the apps that you're actually using every day, or that you should be using every day. There's a lot of apps out there. A lot of times you download them, you don't use them, or at least you don't use them efficiently. So if the future is in your pants, you guys get that? your business ready? Think about that. There's a couple jokes I'll throw in throughout the day. The other thing I was fascinated with is how are people really using their mobile devices? Like we think we know how consumers use things, but there's some data out there. By 2015, and those are my kids, you guys, so it's kind of like, what are my kids going to do with their phones? If you look at my son's glasses, you guys see the reflection? What do you guys think that is? iPad. Yeah, someone last city said laptop. I'm like, oh. Kids won't even know what a laptop is. Not kidding. So yeah, it's an iPad. So I want to know, what are my kids and what are the next generation of people doing with their phones so we can be ready? Look at the big chunk there, you guys. 65% of the mobile usage in 2015 is going to be consuming video. So if you're not using video in your business, you're not just missing out on the web, you're missing out on mobile. So we have a full class, again, taught by Darren Persinger, on how to add video to your business the right way so that you guys are prepared. How many of you in the last month have watched a video online? Show of hands. Okay. How many of you have uploaded a video to YouTube for business purposes in the last 30 days? So not as many hands, but a lot of hands. So that's great. You guys are definitely getting into it. The scary thing is, look at the voice calling. 0.4. How are you going to run your business in an era where people don't answer their phones? Just saying. Do you guys answer when people call? Yes. I hate it. I showed you guys slide dial last year. You guys are loving it, right? If you don't know what slide dial is, Google that later. You'll thank me. The other thing that I want to make sure you guys really understand is critical is your time. Email marketing and kind of what you do throughout the day. Email makes up a big part of that. You guys are getting a lot of emails, yes?
Yes.
Okay. So on average, this is from a company called Boomerang. They did a big study. About 147 messages are how many we get in our inbox each day. Not counting spam, in the inbox. The problem is we delete about 71 of those. How many of you wake up every morning and you spend a few minutes just deleting emails?
Yes.
Okay. Why aren't you just unsubscribing from those emails? Anybody?
Because then you get more emails.
The spammers will get you, right? I want you guys to look at a tool called Unroll.me. And it's such a neat technology. You sign up for it, it finds instantly what emails are coming into your inbox from companies and marketers, not from like your friends and your coworkers. And it makes it very simple to look at them all and go minus, 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 save. You have to think about your time right now. If you need a positive mindset as a salesperson, it's not the best strategy to wake up every morning and check 500 emails with just a bunch of crap in them. So your time is really important. We're also going to do a session today on Google. I actually did that class. I'm pretty attached to it. Look at the bottom statistic. Every second, 34,000 questions are being answered by Google. How many questions is your website answering? If you sit here all day, 6 to 7 hour day, are people finding your website through the search engines? If they're not, that's not okay. Where do you guys go when you're looking for a product or service? Yellow Pages? Probably not. Probably Google, right? So Google's critical. I'm going to share with you guys the business tools that Google provides that run your business kind of on the back end and the front end, because they provide so many great free tools. And we decided that definitely doing a class on Google made sense. So think about what we've covered, really. You're talking about Facebook, Twitter, mobile, video, and Google. It's 5 things. If you'll master those things, we think you'll be okay. If you try to go outside of that, of course it's overwhelming because you guys are so busy trying to wear all these hats. The last thing I want to touch on as far as kind of social networks and platforms is the importance of photography. I feel like we're living in the photo economy. Facebook pictures do better. Instagram's exploding. You need to get good at taking pictures quickly. The number one thing people look for online for homes is pictures. A lot of pictures, quality pictures. So think about apps like Instagram. Some of these apps where even though you're using your smartphone, it applies a filter. It allows you to kind of make the picture look really cool. And I'm going to do a quick demo of that a little bit later today. But the other core thing that I want you guys to be obsessed with for your business is the quality of your pictures and what you're sharing. Not just your listing photos, but the photos on Facebook that you're sharing, the photos that you're tweeting, the images that you're using in your blog posts. How many of you guys are on Pinterest already? Anybody? Good Lord. What are you guys doing with your time? Pinterest is exploding. What's Pinterest all about? Pictures. I'm not going to pin your article if there's no pictures in it. And if the picture's not great, it's not getting pinned. Does that make sense? So the photo economy is very real. It's really important for real estate, of course. So kind of in closing, a lot of times we go around and they say, listen, I get Facebook and Twitter. It's really hard to argue with the data, billions of users. You know, every person that logs, just so you guys know, every person that logs into Facebook, when they log in, they spend on average 20 minutes while they're there. What are you doing to be a part of that 20-minute experience that they have each day, right? Are they engaging with your profile, with your business page? The other thing about Facebook, just really quickly, does anybody here truly understand why Facebook went public? They couldn't figure out the privacy settings, you guys. That was a decent one. That was a decent one. Some others last night that I tried. So anyway, if you're thinking, you know, Chris, I sell real estate and all this Google and Facebook stuff is great to me, I wanted to share some data that Inman collected. The average agent right now in the country makes $34,000. That's from National Association of Realtors. That's going to be tough to live on in Orange County. We did a survey at Inman, 1,400 respondents, and we wanted to look at what are the agents that make over $100,000 doing differently with technology than the agents that are making $34,000. And a couple things jumped off the page. One, 50% of the agents making over $100,000 have 500 or more connections on Facebook. So the size of your sphere of influence is certainly still important. The average agent through NAR, only about 33% of them had a sphere of influence on Facebook of 500 or more. So think about that. The larger your database, the larger your sphere, the more people you mingle with, the more business you'll do. So that's an interesting data point. The other one, and I think we've proven that today, the agents that make over $100,000, 75% of them, and this is back in January, had already purchased an iPad for their business. And when we looked at the results from the National Association of Realtors, only about 50% of them had purchased an iPad. So in my opinion, you need to budget an iPad or a tablet or a smartphone per year. Anybody remember you used to buy like a 286 computer, and then like a couple months later you had to get the 386? But then like the 386 was cheaper than the 286. Budget a tablet a year. There's not a tablet on the market that can touch the iPad right now, if you're in the market and you're looking. There's certainly some great Android tablets and some others out there, but the iPad seems to be what's dominating the industry. The other thing with video, we thought it was important to look at the kind of the video marketing and the bleeding edge. Are people adopting technologies early? 82% of the agents over 100,000 have a YouTube channel that they're using. Only about 67% of kind of the average agents did. So those are metrics that when you look at it, it's like, okay, they're using video, they're growing their sphere of influence on Facebook, they're using mobile technology and iPads to, you know, obviously perform a high level of service and kind of be the mobile paperless agent that they need to be. So hopefully there's some takeaways in there for you guys. Last stat, we asked agents, what are the 3 things that make you the most money? What makes you the most money right now? Those of you that are top earners. And it was past clients and referrals, so that doesn't go anywhere. Number 2 was website. How many of you in here, think about this, I don't even want you to raise your hands on this one, but how many of you, if you went on your website and spent about 5 minutes on it, wouldn't hire your own self? To me, that's a good way to start. Okay, I wouldn't even hire myself. I need to fix that. 3rd is social media presence. So if you're not generating business, if you're not obsessing about what you can do for your past clients in your sphere, if you're not obsessing about your website being great and converting and generating leads, and if you're not obsessing about your social media presence and how to do that the right way, we'd like to think that you came to the right conference. So we're going to start off. I'm going to bring up Katie Lance. Katie is the social media director for Inman News.